I'm just glad many of the South African people, even those before who were in denial, that majority of these white people don't care about any unity. I remember during the GNU, many of them were coming out, inclusivity, we must unite, South Africa, hey, it's for everyone. Look at these white racists now, what they're doing. They're even running to the USA to call about Donald Trump to come and threaten our country. Yeah. Now you guys finally understand what Julius Malema has been teaching you about land, about white people and their white arrogance, their white supremacy. Now you finally get it, right? You get it, and it's too late now. You should have made a change long time ago by voting the EFF into power. All of these things today are facing, they would have been long eradicated. Look now, look now. Look now, you don't have a choice but to agree with him. But it's been consistent. Watch here.
Our land is owned by those who came here as visitors. And then they now impose on us the so-called freedom. When the revolution started in South Africa, we never demanded to vote. The revolution was started by the land question. It was not started by voting. Because once we owned the land, voting was an automatic thing. Now they give us some useless passerby thing called voting. And they say, you've got what you have been fighting for. No one went to prison for us to vote. They went to prison for us to reclaim the land and own the land. Once you are the owner of the land, what is voting? It's automatic. So, I'm
very interested when you talk about we and they. We're roughly the same age. I was 12 when Madiba was released from prison, and I was 14 when the election happened. I'm a medical doctor. I work sometimes 160-hour weeks. I work sometimes 18 hours a day, and I own property because of that reason. And it sounds to me that you're suggesting that I should do all that work and come to this point in my life and now just hand away my property. And that concerns me.
You know, you are an exceptional case. If you were to stand up and say, I went to school and I'm a medical doctor and the property I have is because I went to school and I bought it. But most of your people didn't buy any property, they inherited it. So it's an exceptional case. No, you can disagree, but the reality is that you are in possession of a land that was stolen from us. And we want it back without any apology. We want that land back, and we are going to work together. I can tell you now, whether you are in denial or not, the demand for the land is growing and people are becoming impatient. And we don't want Zimbabwe here. We don't want Zimbabwe in this country. It has to be done legally, procedurally, in a manner that is not going to put the country and the economy in a disaster. We have to talk about it. We have to say, how do we, in a proper manner, make sure that everyone benefit from this land? So, you know, Mr. Santa will know, and those who were involved in the negotiations and pre-negotiations, that when it was inevitable for democracy to be ushered in, most of the corrupt state officials began to transfer land into the names of individuals. When we're building a road in Northwest, expanding a road in Northwest from Rustenburg to Mafikeng, the state had to now get into some farms so that, because they didn't have land reserves, so they had to go and take some portions of land as they go along. And then made a call. All those who were affected by our expropriation of land please come forward so that we can compensate you. Very few people turned up. And the suspicion is that they do not have title deeds. People just declared, this is my land, just before 1994. So don't individualize a big problem. It's like when I say there is racism in this country and you come to me, but I'm not a racist. I'm not talking about you. If you're not racist, why are you worried? But generally there is a problem of racism. It's not about an individual. It's a group problem. It is an institutionalized problem. We have to deal with it. And if we don't talk about it, we will not recognize it as a problem. And because we have not recognized it as a problem, now we will not be in a position to solve that problem. You can't solve the problems which you have not identified. So let us not be sensitive. I mean, you are a graduate, you are a doctor, you own a piece of property. I've got a black doctor here with me, very young also, a graduate, and he owns property. We're not taking your property only. We're talking also his property, the flat he owns, a flat size. His flat is almost the size of your bathroom for sure. But even that, we're taking from him. So it's not about a black or white. All of us, we need to surrender our land to the state and give that state an opportunity to allocate it for proper use. You can shake your hand, I'm proposing a peaceful solution. You're refusing it, you will surrender it to the revolution.
The EFF policy is very clear. You don't lose anything. You declare this portion of land is under me. I use it for this purpose of hotel. And then it gets registered like that. You continue business as usual. Tomorrow
but is it yours? Is it yours or does it belong to the state?
It's yours. The water belongs to the state. But when you drink that water from the tap, do you feel state ownership there? You don't feel any state ownership. The electricity belongs to the state. When you switch on, do you feel any state ownership there? That SABC belongs to the state. When you watch it, do you feel less ownership of what is in your house? It's not correct. The mineral resources used to belong to the Anglo-American. They were now taken to the custodianship of the state. And anyone who wants to mine in South Africa must now apply and be given a license by the state. No one now doesn't feel less owner of the mineral resources. So it is entirely incorrect. Our people will never get the land for as long as the means to the ownership of the land is as is. Let's look at the policy of willing buyer, willing sell, right? Even if you can have money, JJ, for some reason the Oppenheimers give you money, and then you're willing to buy a land here in Sandton, and there is no willing seller. What's going to happen? You'll never own a land. So it doesn't matter even if you have money. It's worse when you don't have money.
How negotiable are you though to enter into coalition with people who see it exactly the opposite of you?
Look, those are ideological issues. Those are ideological issues. The first thing first is the people of South Africa. That you ought to join a coalition that says we're going to end corruption. We're going to fight crime fire by fire. We're going to make sure that the youth of South Africa get employment, and those that are still looking for employment and they are graduates, there is graduates allowance to encourage the culture of learning and teaching in our communities, and make sure that the whole of South Africa